Good morning, friends. Welcome. This is Journey Home Meditations morning sit coming from the Beside Dharma Hall. We're trying out some new technologies today, so we'll see how that plays out for us. We're going to do some breath work, some contemplation. Got a really good poem to read today, and we'll get into some meditation. So thanks for being here today, and I'm Michael, and I'm happy to be here. So let's just begin with a few simple breaths. Anytime we're about to engage with something, I think it's good to pause just for the moment. And these 3 breaths are a very rich way to do that. Because with the 3 breaths, we can move through 3 different steps of a threshold. We can, 1, recognize where we are. 2, recognize what it is we're carrying with us. And then on the 3rd breath, we can let it go. That's going to help us to arrive. That's how we show up. And without the 3 breaths, you can show up just the same. But I think about all the times that I showed up without knowing what I was carrying and was unaware of what I was bringing into the relationship. So let's have 3 breaths together. Breathing in. Notice where you are. Just be where you are. And breathing in. What are you carrying with you this morning? Breathing out. And breathing in. I'm letting go of anything that doesn't serve this moment. I think another way of phrasing that is I'm asking, what does love require of me right now? That's another way of saying I want to be able to serve this moment. It's all looking at different ways that we can arrive into love. I think that it probably wouldn't be too presumptuous to say that most of us would like to live in this life with love being present. Some of us have a difficult time with that word. Some of us have a difficult time with the concept. And some of us have a difficult time receiving and experiencing what the feeling is. But even so, I think that most of us, if not all living beings, want to be in a world where love is. And I was thinking about this after yesterday's meditation on death from the beginning, this notion that I want to prepare to love in a way that includes the end of love, or the end of being. Because if I can't, then I'm always waiting for that shoe to drop, right? I'm always waiting for that moment where the love goes away and it proves me right that love was never really unconditional, or that love could not possibly stay. And so I'm living in this constant space of evidence collecting, like some weird detective on a TV show. I'm just looking for all the evidence that everyone was wrong when they said that love was real. But if I can embrace the end of love, then I can understand that what is in this moment is what is real. And if our life is made of moments, then stepping into each moment with the question of, what does love ask of me right now? That is a way to bring love into our entire lives, moment by moment. But I think that we use that word a lot and don't exactly always know what it means or how we can achieve that, because we can convince ourselves that love doesn't include questioning or doubt or confusion or anger or hurt. Love does not include wandering thoughts and distractions and forgetting important dates or not doing the dishes. And love cannot include the way that our mind wanders away from what is in front of us. And I don't know who taught us that, but they are wrong. And love even includes being wrong. So even in our mistakes, there is love. And this morning I was thinking about the death meditation and doing that practice, but then the notion came that, well, I really have no control over that. I really don't know what the end result is going to be when I give love and when I arrive with love and when I experience love. I don't know what that end is going to look like. And I don't know what the middle is going to look like. And one of the most difficult aspects of that is having to understand that that is none of our business. That cannot be a part of the equation, because even that is asking for some sort of reckoning to the level at which I am willing to love. Well, I will love as long as it turns out like this. And I won't love if it's going to just do this. But inevitably, we can't control the fruit of what we plant does. We can't control the way that the flower blossoms. We can only cultivate a culture wherein that flower can thrive. We can only tend to the plant and the soil, watering the garden with mindfulness and thoughtfulness. You know, if you have ever gardened before, you've probably failed, because that is what we do when we garden. There are some things that we do that help the garden produce and is wonderful, and we are there each day and we experience the migration of the butterflies coming through, and we get so frustrated though before when all of the little critters are chewing on our leaves and the caterpillars are eating this and that, but we love those butterflies coming through and pollinating our beautiful gardens, making the cucumber blossom grow into a wonderful, beautiful piece of fruit for us to eat. But chances are there's been one or two mistakes that you've made gardening or keeping a house plant. And this is the way that we learn how to shift and change the way in which we're loving that plant. We make these mistakes, but it doesn't stop us, and it doesn't mean that we've failed. It means that we've made some mistakes. The garden is still there. We can still continue to work that garden, but it's through learning the boundaries of how we love that we understand the parameters for what can thrive. But even if we are perfect in all of those boundaries, we still have no control over the way in which that's going to bloom. We don't get to do that. I don't make apples. I have a delicious apple tree that makes wonderful, juicy, cute little apples every year. I don't make those apples. I wouldn't know where to begin, how to make an apple. That's not what I make. But if I pay attention and I prune away some of the dead limbs and I provide the ways in which that tree needs to get the sun that it needs and the water that it needs, and I am careful to not dig too close to the tree so I don't disrupt the roots, and I do all of these things, then that tree will either produce a lot of apples or not. I don't know what the secret is, but it's not up to me. When we plant love, we can only be there to give what we have to give. And when we receive, it's going to look the way that it needs to look. So that's what I was thinking about. Because I have a tendency to romanticize things like death or loss, because I want it to be a part of the story of the fullness of love. I so badly want it to be this, oh, it's all okay, it's all fine. Like the end is just as beautiful as the beginning. And I know it can be true in a lot of ways. And I also know that I have a tendency to want to avoid suffering. And I have to be aware of that and part of that is just accepting that I don't know. I don't know what it's going to do. In the Gita, it says that Krishna is talking to Arjuna, and Arjuna is, Krishna's best friend. And there's a war. There's a war taking place, a battle. And there's a battlefield, and Arjuna is trying to get out of it. He said, I don't want to do this. And Krishna is trying to explain to Arjuna, in this situation, in this instance, you are in this battle. And you have to do what's in front of you. And Arjuna's like, yeah, but what about this and what about that? And Krishna says, listen, all you have to do is what you are meant to do. Whatever the fruits are, that is mine. That is mine. In this case, Krishna can be interpreted, because Krishna is the Godhead, it could be interpreted as saying, I am the owner of all of this, but I don't think that that's what Krishna is saying. Krishna tells Arjuna that I am time. And what is time to the living except for the impending end? Right? Time is God to the dying. I promise you that when you are acutely aware that you are dying, time is God. You worship time. And Krishna is saying to Arjuna, that fruit, you leave that to me. You do your work and leave that to me. And I think, in some ways, because of the relationship that we learn of Krishna and Arjuna, there is this love, this honest love, this deep love that pulls no punches and is willing to be hurt for the love, the vulnerability. Right? Being vulnerable means you are willing or able to be pierced. That's what it means. The word breaks down, able to be pierced. So if there's vulnerability in armor, there's a spot where the sword can enter and you can be pierced. You can be penetrated. So when we love, we have to be vulnerable to be pierced. Right? We have to be vulnerable to that. And this love between Arjuna and Krishna, there's this vulnerability there that tells me that what Krishna is to Arjuna is love. And so when Krishna says to Arjuna that the fruits that you create, you leave to me, he's saying, don't think about those things. Your job is just to do your job. Do your dharma. Do what it is you are here to do today. And don't focus on the end as if it is the accomplishment of your work, because there is no end to being. There's no end to it. So when we focus on the death meditation, it sounds like a contradiction to say that there is no end. But when we are just a series of moments and our job is to bring love into the moment, then we can't be too concerned about the outcrop of that. We just have to be willing to give love. And Krishna says that that's up to me. Okay. I'm not suggesting you have to fall in line with who Krishna, the stories, but they're handy stories. They're handy stories. So that's what I was thinking today. Let's just have a few moments. Invite the bell. part of the metaphor of the garden and the planting. I think it's an easy metaphor to understand how we can participate in the creation of something beautiful, but we are not the sole driver of that vehicle of beauty, right? And Wendell Berry is a poet that I share pretty often on the morning sits, because I think Wendell Berry, as a farmer, has touched into this aspect of humanness and being that is really tender around understanding his place in what it is to farm, what it is to be a part of the land that he lives. And this poem came up this morning for me, and it just kind of weaves in yesterday and my thoughts this morning really nicely. So maybe it will weave in some thoughts for you. This is enriching the earth. To enrich the earth, I have sowed clover and grass to grow and die. I have plowed in the seeds of winter grains and of various legumes, their growth to be plowed in to enrich the earth. I have stirred into the ground the offal and the decay of the growth of the past seasons, and so mended the earth and made its yield increase. All this serves the dark. Against the shadow of veiled possibility, my workdays stand in a most asking light. I am slowly falling into the fund of things. And yet, to serve the earth, not knowing what I serve, gives a wideness and a delight to the air, and my days do not wholly pass. It is the mind's service, for when the will fails to do, the hands and one, It is the mind's service, for when the will fails, so do the hands, and one lives at the expense of life. After death, willing or not, the body serves, entering the earth. And so what was heaviest and most mute is at last raised up into song. The line that I misspoke is actually funny, one of my favorite lines in the poem. It is the mind's service, for when the will fails, so do the hands, and one lives at the expense of life. This line is a huge reminder that your mind is not your enemy, and it is not something to be rid of, that the mind, the body, the spirit, the breath, everything is vital. It's vital. So the way that I love today is because of the growing and dying of the nutrient-rich lives that have fed that. The loves that I've had, that I experienced, that I lost, inform the way that I love. And every bit of love that I have learned comes into every bit of love that I will have. There is no love I will ever have that does not include every single person that's ever loved me. So the mind is a part of that process. Right? Every single thing I do with my body, my mind is integral to it as well. Everything I do with my mind, my spirit is integral to it as well. So remember, when we love, to show up complete is to offer that gift. I just bow to love today. So I am attempting to see if I can witness the chat, but I don't know if I can. But if you are watching this online on Substack, there is a chat that occurs each morning with whoever is in attendance. And you can join that. There's also a chat feature on YouTube. I'm not sure that many people are joining this for the live version on YouTube. So I'm not sure if we're going to continue to stream live onto YouTube or just use that as a repository archive. But you can also come here and you can join the Sangha and the conversation here. Do you have any thoughts this morning?
I love everything so in alignment this morning. My intention this morning was love for the sake of loving. And so I came here and that was just beautiful. That's perfect.
Yeah, love for the sake of loving. Exactly. You know, it's funny. It stands out particularly to us when things like that occur. I was just thinking about this, and then I read this poem, and there it is, and then I talked to this person, and they talked about this, and then I remember, like, oh, it's kind of always like that. When I wake up and my thoughts that I grasp onto are about how crap the world is, or how terrible Trump is, or, you know, all this stuff, then everywhere I go, I receive those messages. And this is why it's so important, so vital that we learn to sift our thoughts, you know, especially in the morning. I know so many people, and myself included, that sometimes wake up with a bit of sadness and depression just as a natural part of their body. Maybe it's just the body's not fully awake yet, and our mind interprets that low feeling with sadness. I don't know. But it's so important that we filter our thoughts and we focus and generate love through the practice of focusing our intention. And then you find that you step into a room and that's exactly what it is you've been thinking about all morning. You know, it's a strange thing how that can happen. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in today. Thank you for joining. I think the camera's over here. If anybody who is wanting to attend these in person happens to have some technological capabilities, reach out to me, because I don't, and I'm learning these things, but we're figuring it out. Every morning, we're going to attempt to be here in person at Beside Monday through Friday. The doors open at 8 and the meditation begins at 8:30. So come on down, and then we'll have tea afterwards. It's good to be here. Hariom.